Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So on today's video we're going to be making this overbust corset, and this is going to be the sewing part. On our last video we went ahead to draft the overbust corset, so if you missed that, I'm going to have it linked in the description bar below. So on this video we're going to be doing the sewing part of the tutorial. So if that sounds like something you're interested in learning, do keep on watching. Let's get right into the video. So guys, after we were done cutting all our pattern pieces, this is what it's looking like. I went ahead to cut for the same thing for our lining pieces as well, and I went ahead to iron interfacing on them. I also went ahead to iron soft wadding for the padding of our main fabric pieces. So this is what it's looking like. Sorry you could not see this, my light was overexposed here, but I just went ahead to sew it down to the bust area. And this is totally optional if you're going to be making use of fiber. I did not have that, I could not get that, so I just went ahead to do this method. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just hold my pattern pieces together for the front as well as the back. So we're going to be pinning everything together. I'm going to start by pinning down the front pieces. And when you're doing this, please make sure to refer back to your pattern paper so you do not get confused on what part fits into what part. So you are going to be using your pattern paper as a guide so you don't get confused. So now we're just going to go ahead to start pinning down the front pieces. So guys, after pinning down our front pieces together, this is what it's looking like. So you can see when I turn this now, you can see what the wadding part is looking like. So now we're going to go ahead to sew this by 1/2 inch all the way down to join all the pieces together. So we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew this. So the same way we went ahead to pin down the front pieces, we're going to do the same thing for the back pieces. So I'm just going to lay them right sides facing each other and I'm going to pin everything down. And like I said, make sure you refer back to your pattern so you do not get confused, especially for the back pieces. So I'm going to go ahead to pin this down and we're going to take this to the machine to sew. After pinning this down, we're going to take this to the machine to sew both of them by 1/2 inch on both sides, and we're also going to do the same thing for all our lining pieces as well. So guys, this is what we have after we're done sewing this down, and I also went ahead, like I said, to give it a good press. So this is what it is looking like currently. You can see what the wadding part here is looking like. I went ahead to trim off the excesses that we had there. So this is the lining pieces and the lining piece, and we're going to be having our bust cage in here. So I'm going to go ahead to just mark out where I want I'm going to mark out how I want my bust caging to be placed. So I'm going to go ahead to do that now. So after I was done making the lines, this is what it's looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to use our sewable boning. This is the Regeline boning, and we're going to use this to sew according to the way we have the lines. And after I'm done sewing, I'm going to set this aside to work on the rest of the corset. Now we're going to go ahead to start fixing in our boning channels, and I'm going to be using this bias to do that. I'm just going to lay this down the way I want it to be, and I'm going to pin it down. And if you do not want to use a bias tape, you can go ahead to create your own boning channels, whatever you prefer. So I'm just going to go ahead to pin this down. So guys, for some reason I ran out of pins, but this is what it should look like when you're done pinning this down. Make sure you're pinning yours down very well. I just pinned this down like this to show you how I'm going to be sewing this, because like I said, I ran out of pins. But this is how I'm going to sew this. I'm going to take this to the machine now and sew. So guys, after sewing, this is what it was looking like. I went ahead to run the lines on each and every one of them, and this is what it's looking like on the other side. So this is what we have. I'm going to go ahead to bring in the lining piece, and you can see that we've gone ahead to do the bust caging for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to align them together. So I'm just going to go ahead to align them together and pin the neckline area, and I'm going to go ahead to pin everything together, starting from the neckline area at the top here. I'm just going to pin this all the way around so we can be able to sew this together. So after pinning this, we're going to take this to the machine to sew the neckline area. And like I said, we're going to be adding fiber on this part here. I could not get a hold of fiber, so I just went ahead to add padding to this part here. So this is what mine is looking like, and you can see the effect of the bust caging. So now we're going to sew along this area all the way down, but we are going to be leaving this part open, and you're going to see why as we go on with this tutorial. So guys, for the back piece, you can see that I went ahead to sew my Regeline boning to the lining piece, and I also went ahead to create boning channels the same way we did for the front, for the back, and this depends on what you're trying to achieve. So now we're going to go ahead to sew this part all the way like this, and then we're going to flip it to the other side. And when we're done, we should have something that looks like this. So this is what it's looking like. I went ahead to stitch down this part here, as you can see. So this is what it's looking like. We're going to go ahead to create the boning channels here where our eyelet is going to sit. So I'm going to go ahead to do that and set that aside. Now this is the front piece. After we were done sewing the neckline area and flipping it over to the other side, I also went ahead to give it a good press, and then I went ahead to add my body measurement, as you can see. So we are going to be bringing in our back piece, and we're going to be laying them together, wrong sides facing each other. Normally we do this right sides facing each other, but we're going to be doing this wrong side facing each other. You can still also choose to do this right sides facing each other. I hope you understand. If you have any questions, as always, leave it in the comments below. So now we're going to sew according to the body measurement we have here. After sewing, this is what we have. We're going to go ahead to remove the excesses we have at the sides there, because we're going to be having boning channels there as well. So we're going to trim off the excesses, and we're going to use our boning channel to seal up that part. After trimming off the excesses, this is what we have. You can see what the sides are looking like. Now we're going to bring in our boning channels, so we are going to use that to seal up that place so everything looks neat. And like I said earlier, you can choose to do this the other way, in making sure that the seams are on the inside, on the wrong side of the fabric and not on the right side, the way I did it here. So I'm just going to place this down, and we're going to go ahead to pin this down. And while I am pinning at the top part here, I went ahead to fold it in by 1/2 inch, so when we fix in our boning is not going to come out of the boning channels. So we're going to go ahead to pin this down on both sides, and then we're going to take it to the sewing machine to sew our boning channels. After pinning this down, we're going to go ahead to take this to the machine to sew it all the way down, making sure that it is properly sewn, because this part is going to be a bit tricky. So after sewing this is what our top is looking like so far. You can see what the inside is looking like as well. So this is what we have so far, and like I always say, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section and I will try my best to answer the best that I can. So this is what we have so far. Next, we're going to go ahead to start fixing in our bonings. So you can see that I went ahead to just cut them out, and I'm just going to start inserting them all the way into all the boning channels. So guys, because trying to fix in the rest part of our bonings to the other sides of the channel, I was finding it really difficult, so I just went ahead to do that off camera. So this is what our top is looking like so far. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to seal up the bottom part we have here, and I went ahead to cut out this is actually 2.5 inches wide, and I went ahead to take the length all the way down of what I have there, and I cut this out. So we're going to use that to just seal up the bottom part, and we've come to the end of the tutorial. If you enjoyed watching and you found this video helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed already, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.